All right, good. So, haven't actually done a Wednesday news in I think 3, 4, 5 weeks, some huge number. Friday news a lot more recurring because, well, I guess we've only had two installments of that, but it's more recurring since on Fridays I usually don't have the same kind of scheduling issues that you know, oftentimes result in other weekdays. So let's jump right in with the probably I'd say the biggest story, but that's just my opinion. The Trump administration on Wednesday imposed fresh, moist sanctions targeting Tehran as both countries escalate their rhetoric over Iran's nuclear ambitions. The White House announced sanctions on the steel, iron, aluminum, and copper sectors of the country hours after Iran said it would stop complying with certain parts of the Obama era nuclear agreement. President Trump's executive order imposing new sanctions on Tehran also came on the 1 year anniversary of his announcement that he would withdraw the U.S. from the nuclear deal. By the way, that announcement, the one that they're trying to make sound like, this is a metaphorical continuation of the point he made in pulling out last year, it literally was something that we all saw coming because when he campaigned, he was talking about doing it. So the announcement wasn't that big of a thing. It was just like whatever, because it was something that he spoke about wanting to do all the way up until he got in office and actually did it. So it's another one of those little things. They try to make stuff seem like it's a bigger deal than it actually is. It remains the policy of the United States to deny Iran all paths to both the nuclear weapon and intercontinental ballistic missiles and to counter the totality of Iran's malign influence in the Middle East, Trump said in the order released Wednesday. It is also the policy of the United States to deny the Iranian government revenue, including revenue derived from the exports of products from Iran's iron, steel, aluminum, and copper sectors that may be used to provide funding and support for the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, terrorist groups, and networks, campaigns Jesus Christ, of regional aggression and military expansion. All these different things that they're just listing under here. The sanctions could impact other countries conducting trade with Iran. And Trump warned in a statement that the executive order puts other nations on notice that allowing Iranian steel and other metals into your ports will no longer be tolerated. This is the same person who, when I would talk with his supporters, I would be told by them, oh, he's trying to have peace and he doesn't want war, he doesn't want conflict. But then you look at this statement right here where he specifically says, we're not going to tolerate you if you have this type of interaction with Iran when it comes to their what is it, the steel and aluminum. You see what it was? I just pushed it back up here. Yeah, putting other nations on notice that allowing Iranian steel and other metals into your ports will no longer be tolerated. So how the hell can you go after other countries for their fleeting association with Iran, but then we're not supposed to believe that you want to have conflicts with basically anyone that's not already part of the U.S. alliance because you sat down with North Korea 3 times or twice rather. The Trump administration has steadily increased pressure on Iran over the last year since pulling out of the Obama era deal, despite concerns from international allies. The pact, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, provided Tehran with sanction relief in exchange for measures to curb its nuclear program. The administration previously targeted Iran with sanctions against financial institutions and the country's oil industry, which serves as its largest revenue producer. Iran's metal sector is another major source of revenue, according for roughly 10% of its export economy. Last month, the Trump administration labeled Iran's Revolutionary Guard a foreign terrorist organization, which was really, really dumb, but whatever. On Sunday, National warmonger John Bolton also announced the deployment of a U.S. carrier strike group and a bomber task force to the Middle East. Officials have cited a credible threat from Iran, but have not elaborated on the cause. Trump said in a statement announcing the metal sanctions Wednesday that Tehran can expect further actions unless it fundamentally alters its conduct. I look forward to someday meeting with the leaders of Iran in order to work out an agreement, and very importantly, taking steps to give Iran the future it deserves, he said. I mean, isn't that like double speak? I look forward to working with you as we sanction you and make it to where countries that have anything to do with your steel are susceptible to being gone after by us as well. I'm telling you, like, just put yourself as a American citizen, right, in the shoes of people living in these other countries. Let's say you're from Russia, and one day you decide to be friends with Iran, and then you hear the U.S. say, "We will not tolerate if you guys do steel trade." You're like, "What? We didn't even do anything to you." Well, again, this isn't a world where the Russian hacking interference like that. That's not a thing in this alternate universe I'm using as an example. But people have this thing where they're really tolerable of like the weirdest, strangest policies just because they happen to live in the country where they're being enforced. This is the exact same thing that happened with our position on Venezuela, where anytime you say I don't want regime change, people think you're a Maduro supporter, and you go, no, I just don't like the idea of a foreign government telling another country who their leader is. Like, it's literally the same thing where people just don't get, you know, you can't be okay with this stuff just because you happen to live in the U.S. and you're not, seemingly susceptible to getting the back burner of any of this stuff. China's Commerce Ministry reportedly said Wednesday that it will respond in kind if President Trump moves to increase tariffs on Chinese goods. The Washington Post reported Wednesday on the statement from the ministry, which comes amid ongoing negotiations between Washington and Beijing, that Trump and top aides have said we're close to producing a deal. Trump threatened this week to increase tariffs from 10% to 25% on $200 billion in Chinese goods if Chinese negotiators do not reach a deal with their U.S. counterpart first. For 10 months, China has been paying tariffs to the USA of 25% on $50 billion of high tech and 10% on $200 billion of other goods, Trump tweeted on Sunday. These payments are partially responsible for our great economic results. The 10% will go up to 25% on Friday. Jesus Christ. I don't know why they, whatever. I guess I have to get used to the media, choosing to make his tweets out to be these big, huge declarations of stuff. Like, I'm still not used to that. Like, just the idea that that's what is, serious at this point, like what people actually pay attention to in the classical sense. Whatever. Anyways, the threat came just days before Chinese Vice Premier Liu He, Chinese chief trade negotiator, is set to arrive in Washington to meet with U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. I can just bet at that meeting so many wonderful things will be accomplished. Administration officials have recently blamed China for walking back key terms of the current trade deal, with Beijing reportedly trying to reverse its vows to address issues such as theft of trade secrets and intellectual property. This undermines the core architecture of the deal, a source in Washington familiar with the negotiations told Reuters. China reneged on a dozen things, if not more. The talks were so bad that the real surprise is that it took Trump until Sunday to blow it up, to blow up. The source added, after 20 years of having their way with the U.S., China still appears to be miscalculating with this administration. But if they've had their way with the U.S. for 20 years, why would they think it's suddenly going to change now? Oh my God, it's like when people say stuff and they get quoted, do they even like read or think about what they allow to be quoted of them? I wanted the person to put their name in there because that's a really stupid statement. Oh my God, the country that has been able to get its way for a fifth of a century actually thinks that they can continue to get their way. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Senator Bernie Sanders' 2020 campaign is officially unionized, staff announced Wednesday. The Sanders campaign said that the management had reached a deal with staff on a union contract that addresses pay transparency, gender equality, and mental health services, among other issues. We are proud of our workers and proud to uphold Bernie's commitment to collective bargaining rights and a strong labor movement, said campaign manager Fairs Shakir. I still can't pronounce that person's name. Together, we have achieved some of the strongest standards for campaign workers in history and set the bar higher for the next generation of campaigners. When Bernie Sanders is in the White House, he will make it easier, if not harder, to join a union, and we look forward to running a campaign powered by union workers. Fellow 2020 candidate Representative Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California, said last month that his staff had unionized, though it is unclear if his campaign struck a deal. Sanders' campaign is thought to be the first to officially unionize. I could have sworn it was confirmed to be the first major one, like out of these ones that people actually perceive as having a chance of winning because they're, polling at some high number or the person's actually held office before. So I thought that was the stipulation that they, used to specify in relation to him. But anyways, I can see we're getting zero traffic here, so I'm going to close this out very soon. Let's end with another goofy story. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, said Wednesday that Attorney General William Barr should be held in contempt of Congress. Yes, I think that the Attorney General should be held in contempt, she said at the Washington Post event. She also said impeaching the Attorney General is not off the table. The House Judiciary Committee is voting later Wednesday on whether to hold Barr in contempt after he did not meet the committee's demands for the unredacted report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller along with its underlying evidence. The Justice Department late Tuesday threatened to invoke executive privilege to keep the redacted portions of the report from Congress. And that is the end of that comment or that statement that she made. It's just more of them just sitting there trying to, like grandstand because no one's going to get him in Congress. Congress is half ran by Republicans. They're not going to tell one of their guys. It's just like the impeachment talk. Oh, yes, we're going to get Trump impeached. And then he's going to get acquitted in the Senate after being convicted in the House. More ha 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 ha. Like, if you guys want to get rid of someone, get rid of some Republicans in both chambers where you have enough seats to win. But, I forgot people don't care about having majorities in Congress anymore. Let's see, North Korea said on Wednesday last week's missile test was regular and self-defensive, according to the country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The recent drill conducted by our army is nothing more than part of the regular military training, and it has neither targeted anyone nor led to an aggravation of situation in the region, a ministry spokesman told the state-run KCNA news agency. The spokesman added that other countries routinely carry out this kind of very normal drill for national defense rather than the war exercises waged by some countries against other sovereign states. Missile tests by other countries typically invoke advance notice to nearby nations. North Korea on Saturday launched multiple projectiles and at least one short-range missile toward Japan in its first missile test since November 2017, when it launched an intercontinental ballistic missile believed to be capable of reaching the U.S. Shortly after Saturday's test, President Trump wrote on Twitter that he believes North Korean leader Kim Jong-un fully realizes the great economic potential of North Korea and will do nothing to interfere with it or end it. Interfere or end it. My mistake. The recent launches followed stalled talks in February between the U.S. and North Korea, where Trump and Kim met for a second summit but failed to reach an agreement on Pyongyang's denuclearization. I don't know why they can't just say North Korea. Like, I get, it's just like with Iran. They can't just say Iran. They have to keep saying Tehran, the capital. Like, no, just because they're going to confuse people who don't know the layouts of these countries they've never been to. North Korea said in Wednesday's statement that there is a double standard at play with the U.S. and South Korea, engaging in provocative military drills and war exercises that have produced only dead silence from other nations. Which is true. That North Korea, whoever said that, whether it was Kim Jong-un or some other official, they're right on the money. That the U.S. and these other countries get to go around terrorizing the world with their weapons, and their allied countries have their mouths completely closed as all these human lives are being wasted and destroyed. But now when North Korea starts testing some missiles, oh my God! Trump, after first meeting with Kim in June 2018 in Singapore, announced he was canceling all large-scale military exercises with South Korea, a move that caught U.S. military leaders off guard. The U.S. military now holds smaller-scale exercises on and around the Korean peninsula. I got that screwed up as well. So now we can close this out, and I'll just address the chat, and the empty chairs in the audience. I've often said that I don't like to talk about being excited over subscribers or people that, call themselves now wanting to watch stuff. And this is part of the reason why. See, I accept the fact that we have things that are going on in our daily lives, that we all have various schedules, but I just don't buy the idea that between 10, 11, 12 people that watch on a semi regular basis, no one can show up. And this is partially the reason why I don't promote Patreon anymore, or really try to do anything beyond just getting in front of here talking for like maybe 20 or 30 minutes, because the people on here, whether they watch your stuff or they don't, are too damn unreliable. So I'm in a relatively decent mood. This is kind of annoying, but hey, that's how finicky the internet is, because it's run by finicky people that populated in larger numbers than any other mentality. Have a good day.